All right, let's get into it. You probably think you know John Cena, right? The wrestler, the movie star, the guy you can't see. But what's really fascinating is the philosophy he's built behind all of that. A really powerful way of looking at failure, at opportunity, and what it really means to succeed. And it all starts with this, a fucking accident. I mean, you just don't expect to hear that from a guy whose career seems so perfectly planned out, do you? But believe it or not, that single idea is the key to understanding his entire mindset, because his journey was anything but a straight line to the top. It was actually a series of near disasters and really tough lessons that forced him to figure out a system for turning a bad situation into a win. And that's exactly what we're going to break down here. Section 1, the happy accident. Okay, Section 1, the happy accident. This is about the moment his career almost ended before it really even got started. So picture this. It's 2002, and John Cena is about to get fired. He had his big shot, his one chance to make it in the WWE, and he was completely striking out. His character was this generic tough guy, and nobody cared. The company was ready to cut him. He was literally on his last tour. So what happened? Well, with absolutely nothing left to lose, he just took a random chance. He's on the back of a tour bus, and some of the guys are freestyle rapping to kill time. Cena, who's a huge hip-hop head, jumps in, and in his words, he just filleted like 12 guys. And who happens to overhear this whole thing? Stephanie McMahon. She was completely blown away and just asked him, hey, can you do that on TV? So his choice was simple. Get fired as the boring tough guy, or take a huge risk and start rapping on television. He obviously chose rap. And that one single happy accident created the Doctor of Thugonomics, the character that made him a megastar. Section 2, the Mandarin Mission. But just seizing one moment wasn't enough for him. Years later, when he was already the top guy, he didn't just sit back and relax. No, he started an incredibly ambitious new mission, one that would push his famous work ethic to the absolute breaking point. 10 years. Let that sink in for a second. That is how long John Cena spent learning to speak Mandarin. And this was not some casual hobby. This was a decade-long grind with a massive strategic goal behind it. So why do it? Well, the thinking was pure business strategy. The WWE was a global machine, but it just could not crack the code in China. The culture didn't really connect with pro wrestling. So Cena had this simple but pretty audacious idea. What if their biggest star could speak directly to that audience in their own language? He saw the company was offering a language program, and instead of seeing it as a minor perk, he saw it as a massive opportunity, and he grabbed it. Section 3, the cultural collision. But here's the thing. After all that incredible effort, he was about to learn a really brutal lesson. It turns out there's a huge difference between knowing the words and understanding the culture behind them. And that blind spot would lead to the single biggest crisis of his career. And that brings us to the moment where his greatest effort completely collided with his greatest failure. This was a lesson in culture that he had to learn in front of the entire world. And this timeline just shows you how fast everything fell apart. He's on a press tour for a movie, and he reads a line from a teleprompter that refers to Taiwan as a country. Now, because of the really complex political situation where Beijing considers Taiwan a part of China, this was seen as a huge insult. So he quickly records an apology in Mandarin, which then sets off a whole new wave of backlash, this time from people in the US who were angry that he apologized. He was caught in this impossible geopolitical trap with no right answer. Section 4, radical ownership. And this was his big, painful takeaway from the whole mess. All those years of studying gave him the words, but they didn't give him the deep cultural, or in this case, political fluency to know he was wading into some really murky waters. He learned that lesson the hardest way possible, and the stakes here could not have been higher. The fallout from this was so intense, he genuinely believed his acting career might be over. He actually went to his director, James Gunn, and told him, look, if you have to fire me from Peacemaker, I get it. He was fully prepared to lose one of the biggest roles of his life. So this is the really crucial part. How did he respond? He's facing a career-threatening mistake. And honestly, it wasn't even entirely his fault. So he had a choice to make about who was going to get the blame. So I want you to really think about this for a second. It was a line that someone else wrote for him. They put it on a prompter at the end of what was probably a super long day. He could have blamed the PR team, the movie studio, literally anybody else. So who was really at fault here? But that's not what he did. When people on his own team tried to tell him, hey, it's not your fault, he flat out rejected it. He insisted, no, it was my fault. And this right here is the core of his philosophy in action, just radical, absolute ownership. You see, for Cena, accountability isn't about feeling ashamed, it's a tool. By being the first to say, I screwed up, he gives himself the power to then ask the important questions. Okay, what did I learn and how do I fix this? See, blaming someone else is a dead end, but taking responsibility, that's the only way you can actually move forward and find the hidden gain inside the loss. Conclusion, earning your luck. And all of this, the happy accident on the bus, the 10-year mission to learn a language, the public failure, it all comes together under this one powerful idea, earning your luck. At its very core, his worldview is actually pretty simple. Life is just constantly throwing opportunities your way. Some of them are massive, career-defining moments like a chance to rap on a bus to save your job. And some are tiny, like the choice to be nice to the person making your coffee. The whole key is just recognizing that these moments are happening all around you. So here it is. The John Cena philosophy in a nutshell. First, just say yes to opportunities, especially when they feel scary or uncomfortable. Second, your goal isn't always to be the champion. Sometimes it's just about being in the arena, taking the shot. And finally, when you inevitably screw up, find the lesson. It's not about being perfect. It's about honoring the chances that you're given. And this right here might be the most powerful piece of it all. He's not aiming for 100%. He says if he can just capitalize on 30% of the moments life throws at him, he'll feel like he earned life. It's not about winning every time. It's just about showing up and taking your swings. Which of course leaves us with one last thought. Cena's philosophy is a great reminder that luck isn't just this random thing that happens to you. It's something you have to be ready for, something you actually have to work for. So the real question isn't whether you're lucky, it's are you earning it? All right, let's get into it. You probably think you know John Cena, right? The wrestler,